Hello everyone, welcome to the second video of RN Vitals. I'm Prajakta and today we are going to discuss a very important element of the NCLEX RN, which is the NCLEX RN fees. Alright, so before we get into the actual context of this video, let me share some of my facts that you need to know regarding NCLEX. Now, I took my NCLEX for Australia from the Australian board, which is AHPRA or Australian Health Practitioner Regulation Agency. Now, in this particular video, I'll only be covering the expenses of AHPRA or applying to AHPRA and becoming a nurse in Australia. Now, why particularly AHPRA can benefit you even if you are trying to get your license from America or Canada. Now, a lot of people do apply to AHPRA just to clear their NCLEX and then transfer this course to USA or Canada, because the Australian process is really quick and they can be sorted with entire NCLEX RN process in 4 to 5 months, which is really quick and it may go into all your schedules very nicely. So this is everything that you need to know about the NCLEX RN fees. So now I'll be directing you to the presentation that I'm going to take. So make sure you watch this video till end so that you will have no doubts and confusions, and let's begin. Okay guys, so this is the interface that you are going to see as soon as you log into basically you open the AHPRA website, and here you get the option to log into your account as you see here and here, but you'll only be able to do that once you open your account onto AHPRA. We'll be learning it in the next video how you can do this, but basically today we are going to talk about the fees. So let's talk about that only for this video particular. So this is the AHPRA website for sure. Alright, so as soon as you have logged into your AHPRA account, this is what you're going to see. As you see, my dashboard for internationally qualified nurses and midwives, that is IQNM, will read out in the next few slides. You can see my name as this is my personalized dashboard and the 6 steps you need to go through. I am at 5th step. As you can see, let me use the pointer. Okay, you see the 5th step colored as I am at that step, and whichever step you are on to will be colored for you. All right, so here is pay OSCE fee. So in next few slides I'll be covering all the 6 steps for you, where we'll come to know what is the fee for each step and when exactly should we be paying the fees in order to a smooth NCLEX RN scheduling and experience. So let's begin. Okay, this is the step 1 of our RN journey. So as you can see, step 1, which is IQNM exam fee, and on the left hand side I have given a box here. Now I have not made it myself. This is from the actual AHPRA portal. So make sure you go through it, and I have highlighted something that the fee is non-refundable. So let's see how much is the fee for the very first step. Now what is IQNM? IQNM, as we already saw, it stands for internationally qualified nurses and midwives, means us, who did our graduation not in Australia but anywhere else other than Australia, since we are known as internationally qualified nurses and midwives. So we, in order to be registered into AHPRA and in order to be counted as an RN aspirant, it's very important that we get in to the system, and to get into the system we need to pay 410 Australian dollars, which will be your first fee into your RN journey. So when exactly will you be paying that? We should pay this by the first month of preparation, which means that suppose you're going to take your exam in July. So make sure you take your exam 3 months before July, like in March or April, whenever it suits you. Whenever you have $410 on your hand, just go and pay this fee so that you are at least registered into the AHPRA portal as a becoming nurse. All right, let's move on to the second step. Okay, so next up we have orientation part 1. Now why it is part 1? Because in the 6th step you never saw orientation part 2. So basically it happens once you are registered, you are actually ready to go to the field as a nurse. It's then when your orientation part 2 happens. whatever. Let's first understand about orientation part 1. Here again, the official AHPRA portal's definition to orientation part 1 is given. Here there is no requirement of fees, no need to pay any fees. Once you paid 410, after that we are just going on. I'll tell you when next you'll have to pay fees. Okay, so as I said, this is orientation to the Australian healthcare system and population, what you're expected to do and what you are not, and it is in the form of videos. It is most probably 1.5 to 2 hours videos. There will be different clips which you need to go through, and you'll be understanding how you will work as a nurse, what is the population, and what are the criteria that you need to fulfill, etc., etc., which is a very simple step. You just sit comfortably and watch the videos. There is no active role you have to play other than understanding. Okay, step number 3, portfolio, an important step, but no fee here. Just have a look at this following documents that you need to upload, like passport, course completion, transcript, nursing registration, degree certificate. Your portfolio is often assessed and reviewed within 2 weeks, and they will often send you a mail that your portfolio is reviewed, and now you can proceed to your NCLEX RN examination. If I talk about myself, I did my self check on. I started my journey 1st of February. I gave my exam on 11th of July, so it was basically a gap of 5 months in which I completed my entire process. My portfolio took around a week to get assessed, and after that, for 2-3 months, I was just sitting and preparing. Um, as I had to go to the next step. Next step is something that requires fees. So after portfolio, I think you get 2 to 3 months of good time where you can prepare for yourself and also arrange for fees. So make sure you keep all these things in mind. We'll be moving on to the next step. All right, so the next and the most important step for which we have been shouting everywhere since all this time is here now. That is your step for MCQ exam or your NCLEX RN exam in general. Now, here you are going to give a lot of money to AHPRA. First, for the NCLEX registration for Pearson View, which is 2,220 US dollars. Make sure this is not Australian dollars, instead it is US dollars, that is United States. Okay, next we have the NCLEX scheduling fee, which will be 177 USD again. Now, as I said, until your portfolio and everything is assessed and you are finally on this stage, you will get around a period of 3 months roughly, or you can take more. There is no limit to any of the step for the 6 steps in Australia, except for one which I'll be talking on later. But as there is a lot of fee and we have to like manage our finances, do anything and do it. Some of us are students, some of us are working part-time to prepare, so it's hard to manage the fees. But the good thing about the Australian exam or anything, I don't know about the other boards, but I can tell you about AHPRA. After portfolio, you can take endless days to finally register with Pearson View. It's your choice. Whenever you're ready to give your exam, you should do it. But I ideally suggest you that register with Pearson View at least 1 or 1.5 months before actually you are planning to take your exam. Why do I say this? Because there is a certain sequence of process which you have to follow. So the first thing after portfolio you do is register on Pearson View. It simply means that you're applying for authorization to test. Now, authorization to test or ATT is nothing but a receipt to enter into your exam hall. In fact, even to schedule your NCLEX RN exam, you'll need your authorization to test. So basically, when should you apply for your ATT? It should be at least a month, or I think 1.5 month before you actually planning to take your exam. You should apply for your ATT. Once you do that, as you can see, I've written here, it may take up to 4 weeks to get your ATT. I got my ATT after 20 days of applying for it. So you never know, it might take 4 entire weeks also. So be prepared and apply it 1 month before you are scheduling, before you're planning to schedule your exam. I'm telling this again and again as it's very important. Once you get your ATT, after receiving ATT, you may schedule your exam within 6 months. I'm so sorry this is cut here, but okay, so I'm saying this, it's written within 6 months. So the validity of your authorization to test for Australia is basically 6 months. So once you get your ATT, you get next 6 months to give your exam anytime. So now scheduling fee will be 177 USD, and as I said, the registration will be 220 USD. So keep this in mind, and we'll move on to the next step. Okay, so the next step that we have is OSCE. Now, please get it clear for yourself that after step number 4, only they should proceed whoever are planning to become an RN in Australia. Suppose you're working in America, you want to settle in America, and you have just applied to AHPRA in order to get your process done very quickly. You should stop once your NCLEX is done. There is no OSCE for Canada and USA, only your NCLEX score is enough. So now whatever we'll be talking upon steps 5 and 6 will only be applied to the Australian nurses. Alright, so what is OSCE? Again, on left hand side we have an AHPRA portal's OSCE details. Your fees here will be the maximum. You may say that this is the most expensive step in the entire Australian nurses journey. Now, again, I've written here it is only for Australian RNs. It is a practical exam taken in Adelaide, Australia only. Nowhere else, even in Australia, this exam is taken. Keep in mind. So there's a lot of waiting and application literally delays for a lot of time. So here you have, if you are offshore, which means if you're not in Australia right now, or whenever you have completed your NCLEX and you are at the step of OSCE, if you're offshore, apply for visitor visa and complete this step, which means that you need to apply a visitor visa after you get the eligibility letter, which basically you will be paying the OSCE fee after completing your NCLEX, and the AHPRA will be sending you an eligibility letter for OSCE. After that, you'll have to book your OSCE date. Then your visitor visa will be granted and you'll be able to ship to Australia. The next step. Last and the final step that we have on our RN journey is apply for registration. Our dream to be coming true in this step. Now, there is something extra that you need to do to be eligible for registration, which is the English language proficiency score we need to get. Have confusion whether to prepare for IELTS and PT before doing all that NCLEX process and all of that. No, you don't need to do it. You have to get your scores even after OSCE. So basically, it is the last second step on your RN journey. So don't rush for English language scores and all of that. You have enough time to prepare for it. Here the fees that you need to pay for registration is 489 Australian dollars, and then you'll be good to go. So these are the 6 steps that you need to go through in order to become an RN in Australia. Now in the next slide, there is a very important calculation where we will be putting a sum total in Australian dollars, also in Indian rupees, about the total expenses that we counted in each slide, so that we can get a rough estimation as how much do we exactly need to spend. So let's go. Okay, so if we add the amount that we saw in each slide in all together, let's see the total of it so we can understand how much is the expense in Australian dollars and in Indian rupees. So as you can see here, this side I have, okay, let me use a pointer. Okay, left hand side is the expense in Australian dollars, and on right hand side it's on Indian rupees. So wherever you are, inshore, offshore, depending on that, please calculate your expense. And here I have already given you the calculation as per today's dollar and rupees rate. So if you check only until NCLEX, means the people from America and Canada are just applying for just to get their NCLEX done speedily. For them, the expense would be 1,009.47 Australian dollars until NCLEX, and in rupees it would be 55,986 rupees. And suppose that you are an Australian nurse, you want to be an Australian nurse, then you have to add the registration and OSCE fee, which I have added here. And after adding that, the sum total of this plus this is given here, which is 5,498.47 Australian dollars, and in rupees it would be an addition of this plus this, which is 3,04,946 rupees. I know it's overwhelming, and it's hard for maybe some of us are students, some of us are working maybe part time just to prepare for NCLEX. But as I said in the previous slides, the time that you get in between the steps, I think it's good enough to chase your dreams and good enough to put an extra effort to manage your expenses and get into this amounts. As I already said, start with the first step, that is the IQNM exam fee. Pay that 410 Australian dollars, and then whenever you think you have good preparation done, you have good fees gathered, only then you proceed with the application of ATT and your exams. So that's it with this presentation. I hope you have understood the expenses in dollars and Indian rupees. I hope this presentation helps, and let's get out of this presentation and talk afterwards. Alright guys, that was it with the presentation. I hope you understood it, and I hope it would be of help to you. Now there is some more things that I would like to add other than the expenses I discussed in the presentation, like UWorld. Now depending on person to person, depending on the time that you have to practice questions, you are going to take different plans, you are going to take coaching or anything like that, which are the expenses extra from this. So what I discussed here were the expenses which are going to remain the same for every nurse who is approaching AHPRA for her registration. So please don't get confused that this is it and there is no extra dollar or rupee that you have to pay. Person to person, whatever you're purchasing, whatever you're using to practice questions, it is going to vary. So think like that. I hope you manage your expenses well. I hope this video would help you to plan certain things for you in advance. We'll be wrapping this video up, and in the future I'll be making, in fact I'll try in this week to make videos on how to yourself make the registration processes done. So that's it for now. If you still have any questions you want me to answer, please make sure you drop down the comments in the comment section. And until the next video, make sure you keep my channel subscribed, you like it, you share it with all your friends who are preparing for NCLEX. Might be of great help. And with that, happy RN.